Some people do not just hurt you by accident. They plan to. They study you, not out of care, but calculation. They memorize your strengths so they can imitate them. They learn your wounds so they can weaponize them. They charm, not to connect, but to disarm. And the most dangerous part? They often appear kind, charismatic, even trustworthy. That's what makes them so hard to see, until the damage is already done. What if the darkness you feel in someone is not paranoia, but perception? We live in a world that encourages us to doubt ourselves, to downplay our instincts, to give the benefit of the doubt, even when our body is screaming that something is wrong. But the Stoics never taught blind optimism. They taught clarity. They taught discernment. Marcus Aurelius warned us, the nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Calm does not mean naive. A calm mind is not a defenseless one. It is alert, watchful, and free of illusion. Stoicism sharpens your awareness, not to make you fearful, but to make you free. Evil rarely announces itself. It walks in wearing a smile. It flatters. It agrees. It plays the long game. The Stoics, especially Epictetus, warned us not to focus on what people say, but what they do. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it, he wrote. Likewise, don't believe someone's intentions based on their words. Watch what they embody. Watch how they behave when the mask slips. Maybe you've felt it, something in your gut, a tension you couldn't name. You told yourself you were being too sensitive. You tried to rationalize the behavior, make excuses, focus on the good. But your body was never confused. Your intuition already knew. And this is where Stoic wisdom becomes your shield. This philosophy is not passive. It's not just about accepting hardship or enduring pain. It's about discerning what's real and learning to separate appearance from truth. When you cultivate this kind of inner stillness, when you begin to train your mind to observe without attachment, you see what others miss. These 10 signs we're about to explore are not meant to scare you. They're meant to awaken you. Because this isn't about paranoia, it's about perception. It's about seeing the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. And once you see clearly, you can act wisely. You stop giving access to those who only want to use you. You stop explaining yourself to people who've already decided to misunderstand you. You stop opening your soul to someone who only came to feed off it. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. You are recognizing patterns. You are feeling tension where there is contradiction. You are finally letting yourself believe what your experience has been trying to show you. And no matter who this person is, a partner, a friend, a boss, a family member, the truth is this: if their presence drains your peace, their charm is irrelevant. Stoicism reminds us that our peace is our responsibility. Guard it, cultivate it, and never hand it to someone who proves again and again that they will not protect it with you. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the 10 signs that someone close is not who they appear to be, and how Stoic wisdom can help you stay calm, aware, and unshaken in the presence of even the most charming enemy. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply see things as they are and act accordingly. In a world where kindness is often expected, evil can hide beneath the most polished surfaces. It may not come in the form of blatant aggression, but rather disguised in manners, manipulation, and emotional misdirection. The cunning deceiver does not announce their intent. They perform. They speak your language of fairness, justice, and respect, only to use it as a tool to gain an upper hand. It is a subtle cruelty, one that works quietly, making you question yourself long before you even realize you're under attack. This is the first sign: disguised cruelty and control. often hidden behind a mask of morality. Sign 1. They wear a mask of morality. It starts with the language. They talk about justice, fairness, kindness, and empathy. But these ideals are only in place when it serves their own purposes. They know how to sound righteous, to speak with moral clarity, and to appeal to your better nature. But these words are not principles they hold. They are tools they use to shape the environment to their advantage. In their presence, you are constantly reminded of what's right and wrong. You may even feel compelled to conform to their standards, as if your own sense of right and wrong is under attack. But the truth is, their moral framework is inconsistent. It bends and shifts depending on the situation, as long as it furthers their objectives. Their righteousness is not authentic. It's a mask, a tool for manipulation. A Stoic sees through this. Marcus Aurelius taught us that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Recognizing manipulation is not about seeking revenge, but about understanding the true nature of the person in front of you. You don't need to engage in a moral duel with them. You simply recognize that their moral language is a performance, not a belief. Sign 2. They gaslight without hesitation. Gaslighting is the subtle art of making you question your own reality, your feelings, and even your sanity. This is how they work. They will take something you know to be true and make you doubt it. If you stand firm in your feelings, they will deflect and accuse you of being irrational, too sensitive, or paranoid. They never accept responsibility for their actions. Instead, they will always shift blame, manipulate the situation, and twist facts to confuse you. The intention behind gaslighting is control. The goal is to make you feel powerless, unable to trust your own judgment. The more confused you become, the more they control your perception of reality. It's not about resolving the issue. It's about breaking you down emotionally so they can continue to have dominance in the relationship. Gaslighting doesn't just destroy your confidence, it eats away at your ability to trust yourself. A Stoic does not give in to this manipulation. In fact, the Stoic approach is to remain grounded in your own reality, unaffected by the turmoil that others attempt to create. It's not about fighting them with the same tricks. It's about recognizing their attempts to destabilize your mind and choosing not to engage. When someone gaslights you, remember, you are in control of your mind, not them. Sign 3. They get close to control, not connect at first. Their charm is magnetic. They may love bomb you, shower you with compliments, or make you feel like you've found a true connection. They mirror your interests, your values, and your passions, slowly pulling you closer. This intimacy feels genuine, like a deep connection. But it is not genuine at all. It is strategic. Their goal is not to bond with you, it is to control you. Once they have gained your trust, the true nature of their intentions begins to unfold. They start to manipulate the relationship, to place themselves in positions where they have power over you. What began as affection and attention turns into demands and expectations. Your sense of autonomy is slowly eroded, and you may find yourself giving more and more, while they take with no intention of giving back. They use love, flattery, and trust to gain a foothold in your life, then exploit that to control you. A Stoic sees this dynamic for what it is, a manipulation of the human need for connection. They do not confuse love with dependency. They understand that true intimacy is not about control. It is about mutual respect and understanding. To protect yourself from this manipulation, you must remain aware of your boundaries and your own autonomy. Love, affection, and trust are gifts, not tools, to be weaponized. Marcus Aurelius offers this timeless advice. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When you recognize these manipulative tactics, the best response is not anger, retaliation, or even a need to prove their wrongs. The Stoic response is wisdom. The Stoic response is to maintain your own integrity, not allowing the manipulation to seep into your soul. To be unlike those who act with cruelty is to maintain your calm, your clarity, and your virtue. It is to see the deceit for what it is, and now be swayed by it. Manipulation hides behind masks. It hides in kind words, flattering gestures, and moral rhetoric. It seeks to confuse you, break you down, and replace your peace with their control. Recognizing these signs early is not a reason for bitterness. It is wisdom in action. You do not need to argue with a deceiver. You do not need to engage in a battle of words with a manipulator. You simply need to recognize their tactics, and then, without a word, step away. A Stoic does not engage with deception. A Stoic recognizes it, and then chooses to protect their mind, their spirit, and their peace from it. The most powerful form of resistance is not fighting back in anger, but stepping aside with wisdom and peace. In a world where appearances often deceive, there are individuals who excel in the art of psychological manipulation, hiding their moral decay behind charming exteriors. These people thrive on controlling others, feeding on their suffering, and twisting truth to suit their desires. Their tactics are subtle but devastating, and they are often cloaked in a veneer of civility. The following signs will expose the psychological games they play. Games rooted not just in control, but in a profound disconnection from empathy, truth, and morality. Sign 4. They derive joy from your suffering. It begins quietly, so quietly that you may not notice it at first. You're in distress, whether from emotional pain, stress, or frustration, and you look up to see them watching you. They're not offering comfort, nor are they reaching out to help. Instead, they're watching you with a subtle glint of satisfaction in their eyes. Your tears, your anxiety, your struggle, these things do not elicit compassion. No, they bring them pleasure. They may not say it aloud, but the way their eyes gleam when you suffer speaks volumes. Your pain is a source of energy for them, a twisted form of power. It fuels their sense of superiority and their belief that they are in control. This is not a simple sadistic pleasure in the obvious sense. They don't laugh or boast over your pain, but they thrive on your vulnerability, on your emotional instability. When you are at your weakest, they are at their strongest, and that imbalance gives them a sense of dominance that they cannot afford to lose. The Stoic response to such individuals is rooted in resilience. Seneca's wisdom rings true here. He who does evil to another does evil to himself. These individuals are collapsing inward, suffocating beneath their own toxic behaviors, and the more you allow them to feed on your suffering, the more they decay from within. You must recognize their behavior for what it is, discomfort for their own pleasure, and refuse to allow them to consume you. Sign 5. They manipulate empathy. At first, they may seem vulnerable. They cry on command, wrapping themselves in a cloak of emotional distress. It's an act. They know that you care, that your empathy is one of your greatest virtues, and so they manipulate it, twisting your compassion until it becomes your downfall. They turn to you for comfort when they are in pain, using their emotional outbursts to gain your attentions and sympathy. But the cycle does not end there. Slowly, imperceptibly, they begin to demand more of you. You are now their emotional caretaker, the one they lean on for support, while they drain you of your energy, your time, and your emotional resources. What you fail to see is that they are now nurturing the bond. Instead, They are slowly eroding it, using your goodwill to undermine you. They turn your generosity into a weapon, leaving you exhausted and emotionally depleted. And when you can no longer give, when you've reached the limits of your compassion, they accuse you of being cold, selfish, or uncaring. A Stoic does not become the caretaker of others' emotional burdens without first considering the impact on their own well-being. Empathy should never be weaponized against you. True compassion is reciprocal, not exploitative. The Stoic understands that in order to remain true to their own integrity, they must first protect themselves from being consumed by the emotional manipulations of others. Sign 6. They hate when you grow or heal. Perhaps the most insidious sign of all is their reaction to your growth. They may seem supportive, even encouraging, when you're struggling, when you're trapped in the same unhealthy patterns they've helped create. But the moment you begin to set boundaries, find peace, or, even worse, succeed, they retaliate. Their hatred is not personal. It is rooted in their fear of losing control. Your growth represents a threat to their carefully constructed illusion of dominance over you. Your healing means their manipulation is no longer working. The boundaries you set reveal their attempts to invade your space, and your success highlights how they have kept you down for so long. They will do everything in their power to sabotage your progress, to pull you back into the emotional turmoil they've created. They will downplay your achievements, dismiss your victories, or undermine your efforts in subtle ways. If they cannot control you through pain, they will attempt to control you through insecurity, doubt, or guilt. A Stoic knows that growth is a personal journey, one that must be protected at all costs. Healing is not a betrayal. It is an act of self-preservation. And while these individuals may try to stifle your progress, the Stoic response is not to fight back with vengeance, but to maintain the course with steadfastness and clarity. Their retaliation is a sign of their weakness, not your failure. Sign 7. They rewrite the past. In order to control the present, they must distort the past. These individuals will deny things they clearly said or did, distorting the timeline of events to fit their narrative. When confronted, they will twist memories, gaslight the situation, and erase their own culpability from the record. In their version of the past, they are always blameless, always the victim, and always justified. This is one of the most effective tools they use to manipulate you. When they can control the story, they can control the future. They rewrite history. So when you try to call attention to their manipulations, you sound crazy, delusional, or unreasonable. They gaslight not just the present, but the past, using collective memory as a weapon against you. A Stoic does not dwell on the distorted version of events. They understand that truth is not subjective, and while others may try to rewrite history, the Stoic finds peace in knowing what is real. Memory is their ally, and no matter how hard they try, no one can erase the truth from your mind. The Stoic must remain anchored in what they know to be true, never allowing themselves to be swayed by someone else's manipulations of the past. Seneca's words resonate deeply when we examine the behavior of these individuals. He who does evil to another does evil to himself. These people, in their insidious quest for control and power, are ultimately collapsing inward. They may wear masks, cry on command, or rewrite history, but the true cost of their actions is internal. The more they manipulate, the more they decay, until they are consumed by their own darkness. The Stoic response is not to fight their battles. The Stoic response is to protect your inner peace and to walk away from the toxic, decaying individuals who threaten it. You do not need to change them, but you must recognize when it's time to let go. Just as Marcus Aurelius taught, the most powerful revenge is to remain unlike those who cause injury. You protect yourself, your mind, and your spirit by recognizing the manipulation for what it is and choosing to preserve your integrity above all. The manipulator may try to control your mind, your emotions, and your story. But the Stoic knows that the true power lies in remaining unshaken by their games. Evil often operates under a set of predictable, recognizable patterns, habits, and tactics that, once understood, offer an opportunity for escape before the damage becomes irreversible. These patterns are not isolated incidents. They repeat themselves over time, signaling the presence of manipulation, control, and moral corruption. The following signs expose the destructive cycles that are used to slowly erode your well-being and how you can spot them early before they consume you. Sign 8. They blame everyone but themselves. One of the most pervasive traits of manipulative individuals is their inability to take responsibility for their actions. Instead of owning their mistakes or acknowledging their role in a situation, they consistently cast themselves as the victim. There is always someone else to blame, always an external factor that caused their behavior. If they hurt you, it's your fault. If they lied, it's because they had no choice. If they betrayed your trust, it's because you misunderstood them. The stories they tell are endless, and in each one, they are always the wronged party. They have no accountability, no remorse, and no ability to recognize the damage they cause. In their narrative, they are the hero in a world of enemies. Everyone else is responsible for their suffering, and they are simply a victim of circumstances. This becomes their weapon, victimhood. Over time, this behavior chips away at your sense of self and your ability to trust your own perceptions. If you challenge them or point out their flaws, you are met with defensiveness, hostility, or manipulation, but never genuine self-reflection. They are never wrong, only misunderstood. The Stoic insight here is profound. As Epictetus taught, attach yourself to what is best. This means that one should seek to align oneself with truth, virtue, and responsibility. When someone refuses to do so, choosing instead to perpetually shift blame, they are not just avoiding growth, they are actively cultivating toxicity. The Stoic response is not to argue with them, but to deal with clarity. Recognizing their refusal to take responsibility is not an invitation to fix them, but a signal to protect your peace and walk away. Sign 9. They isolate you. The slow, insidious process of isolation is one of the most dangerous weapons in the manipulator's arsenal. They begin with small, seemingly insignificant actions, subtly undermining your relationships, casting doubt on your friends, or criticizing your family. At first, it may seem like concern or care for your well-being. Are they really your friends? They ask. Why do you let them treat you like that? They may begin to withdraw from social events, positioning themselves as the only one who truly understands you. Gradually, the manipulation deepens. The lines of communication with loved ones start to fray. Friends become distant. Family feels colder. The manipulator is always there, presenting themselves as your only source of support, connection, and understanding. They gaslight you into believing that no one else truly cares for you or understands your struggles the way they do. Slowly, the world outside begins to disappear, and they become the center of your universe. You may not even realize it at first, but eventually you recognize that you are alone. What began as a partnership or relationship built on mutual respect and care has devolved into a situation where your sense of reality is shaped entirely by them. They have isolated you from everyone who could offer you an alternative perspective, and in doing so, they have gained control over you, emotionally, psychologically, and even physically. The Stoic insight is clear. As Epictetus wisely stated, attach yourself to what is best. The manipulator's goal is not love, but conquest. True love and connection foster kindness, community, and clarity. Isolation, on the other hand, breeds dependence, confusion, and submission. If someone is isolating you from what is good and virtuous, it is not an expression of love. It is a strategy of domination. The Stoic response here is to recognize the insidious nature of isolation and to fight against it. Strength lies in community, in connection with others who share your values and support your well-being. Once you realize that the manipulator is pulling you away from these sources of strength, you must take immediate steps to reconnect with the people and activities that nourish your soul. Protecting your emotional space means fostering relationships that build you up, not break you down. In both of these patterns, the Stoic response is not to engage in endless conflict, nor to try to fix the manipulator. It is to recognize their behavior for what it is, an erosion of responsibility and connection. These individuals aim to distance you from truth, from accountability, and from your community. Their goal is not love, but conquest. A Stoic must learn to detach from these forces and protect the things that matter most: their integrity, their relationships with virtuous people, and their commitment to living a life of purpose. Recognizing these patterns early allows you to preserve your own strength and avoid being drawn into cycles of destruction. The Stoic response is to stay rooted in truth, to surround yourself with those who uplift you, and to walk away from anyone who seeks to manipulate or isolate you. In the end, the Stoic path is one of inner peace, strength, and wisdom. By understanding the predictable patterns of manipulation, you can protect yourself from being caught in a destructive cycle. Recognize these signs early, detach with clarity, and continue to walk the path of virtue with confidence. Sign 10. They secretly enjoy your collapse. It is a chilling realization. The person you trusted, the one you believed was on your side, is not just indifferent to your suffering. They revel in it. While you spiral into panic, they remain unnervingly calm. While your world crumbles, their lips curl into a faint smile, not out of empathy, but out of satisfaction. The tears you shed, the frustration in your voice, it amuses them. Every desperate plea for understanding only fuels their sense of control. You can't help but notice it. It's subtle at first, a shift in their expression, a brief flicker of satisfaction in their eyes as you break down. Perhaps you tell yourself it's a misunderstanding, that they are simply uncomfortable, unsure of how to react. But with each encounter, it becomes clearer. This person is not just flawed or cold, they are dangerous. Their calm in the face of your turmoil is not compassion withheld. It is malice veiled behind a mask of civility. Picture this moment. You find yourself in an argument, desperately trying to explain yourself, hoping for a resolution, a sense of relief. Your voice cracks with emotion, your heart races, but all you receive is a stone-cold stare. You beg for understanding, pour your feelings out, expecting some level of empathy, only to be met with silence, or worse, a slight smile that dances at the corner of their lips. Their eyes, cold and calculating, seem to absorb your distress, feeding off it. There's no remorse, no apology, no attempt to comfort or console. Instead, you sense a strange satisfaction in their stillness, a satisfaction that comes not from any sense of victory or peace, but from your vulnerability. The breakdown you experience is their triumph. The fact that you're unraveling, that your emotions are in disarray, serves their hidden agenda. It is as though, in their mind, they have won. And you, your pain, your suffering, are their prize. In this moment, the veil is lifted, and you can no longer pretend that this is a misunderstanding or a consequence of their lack of emotional awareness. What you are witnessing is deliberate. What you are experiencing is not miscommunication, but malice. This person is not simply indifferent to your pain. They secretly enjoy it. In this moment, the veil is lifted, and you can no longer pretend that this is a misunderstanding or a consequence of their lack of emotional awareness. What you are witnessing is deliberate. What you are experiencing is not miscommunication, but malice. This person is not simply indifferent to your pain. They secretly enjoy it. Marcus Aurelius taught us that the time we spend speculating about others is time wasted. He said, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others." Once you've seen the truth, once the mask of civility has slipped and the hidden cruelty is exposed, there is no room for further debate or confusion. To continue questioning their motives is to delay the inevitable. You must walk away. A Stoic recognizes when a person's actions have crossed a line, when their behavior has shifted from neglect to active harm. At this point, further analysis or explanation serves no purpose. The only prudent action is to protect your peace, your mental health, and your integrity. The Stoic response is clear. Remove yourself from the situation with calm resolve. Evil people do not deserve your explanations, nor your time, nor your attempts to make them understand. The most stoic and empowering thing you can do is to walk away, calmly, decisively, and without fear. The longer you remain in the presence of someone who finds pleasure in your suffering, the more of your own peace you sacrifice. This is not an act of weakness, but of strength. It is not about avoiding confrontation, but about choosing not to engage in a battle you cannot win. Their cruelty is not something you can fix, and it is certainly not something you deserve to endure. The Stoic path teaches us that we have the power to control our responses, and when faced with evil, the strongest response is to remove ourselves from it entirely. You have nothing to prove. Your inner peace is far more valuable than any explanation, any argument, or any justification. When you see the hidden smile that accompanies your collapse, recognize it for what it is, a reflection of their brokenness, not yours. And in that moment, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, secure in the knowledge that your silence, your absence, and your strength are the most stoic acts you can perform. Not everyone is simply hurt or lost. Some people choose darkness. They willingly embrace manipulation, cruelty, and deceit, finding comfort in the suffering of others. Your responsibility is not to fix them, nor to take on the burden of their brokenness. Your responsibility is to protect your soul, your peace, and your integrity. You must recognize that not every wound can be healed, and not every person can be saved. The greatest act of self-respect is the ability to walk away from what is toxic, even if it's hard to accept. When you encounter evil or malice, it is essential to understand that it is not your duty to unravel it, understand it, or fight against it. Your duty is to maintain your own clarity, to preserve your inner calm, and to trust your instincts. In the face of this darkness, remember that your strength lies not in confrontation, but in your ability to turn inward, to detach, and to protect your own peace. Withdraw into yourself. The rational principle will not fail you. Marcus Aurelius. In moments of confusion or emotional chaos, retreat into your own reason. Trust that your inner wisdom will guide you, and that the rational principle within you is a sanctuary against the storm. When you see the signs of manipulation, cruelty, or malice, withdraw, not out of fear, but out of strength. Have you seen any of these signs before? Did you trust your instincts or silence them? Share your experiences in the comments. Your clarity could be the light someone else needs to escape a toxic situation. By speaking out, you might save someone else's life or help them regain their peace. This video is for those who have felt alone in recognizing evil, those who have questioned their own perceptions. The emotional confirmation offered here encourages you to share, comment, and reflect inward, knowing that you are not alone. The truth you speak could be the key to someone else's freedom.